Episode 5 of the Ask Woodford Show. We are back. The past few episodes have been awesome. Some special guests, some of just the main crew. They've been great. But now we're here for episode 5. Before we start, make sure, guys, if you want to follow us, learn a bit more about S&C, again, on Instagram, woodfordssc.com is our page on the website, and then Woodford SSC on Instagram. And again, we have the Ask Woodford Show on YouTube if you want to watch all of these, or go on Spotify, again, to see Ask Woodford and listen to this podcast. Today, we have Jamie Smith, the man, the myth, the legend from Strength Culture. He told me that he didn't want me to pump him up, but I have to. And we have Mr. Ballzillo, Bricky, aka Brick, aka Brick, Brickles, whatever you want to call him, is here.
J-Hole.
Man, how are you?
Going well, yeah. I'm feeling... Got a great guest here, so I'm feeling
I knew you would
pumped.
love this one.
Yeah.
I knew you would love this.
I'm ready to go. I'm firing. I got a first question. I'm going to ask, where's Woodford? Where the fuck's Woodford?
So, in the Ask Woodford Show, we don't have Woodford here. Woodford is getting finishing. So he's getting a tattoo on his neck, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is he does not want to sit there for 3 hours and cop it all. So he's booked 6 45-minute sessions to get his tattoo to break up the pain.
I love it.
That's all right. Nothing better than making the pain extending. Extending the pain cycle. Yeah. Nothing like.
I mean, it's effective, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Small doses,
I don't have any
micro dosing.
Yeah, I don't have any tattoos, but I'm glad I got the first question out the way.
Would you want to get? No,
I
you know
wouldn't
what?
get a tattoo.
You wouldn't.
No.
Why?
I don't know. I just don't. I have zero appeal. They don't appeal to me at all.
No.
Yeah. No.
But
I got nothing against them. Get whatever you want to do, but for myself, nah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brick, would you?
Oh, I never say never, but, you know,
Okay.
maybe
He's been thinking about it.
one here, like JP Kauki's got to go on
Like
here.
Jamie
It's like-
Smith right here.
Yeah, MSC.
The eagle.
Didier and Jez, I love that.
Didier, Jamie, Buzz.
Jay Smith.
Yeah.
Blood Brothers. Anyways, don't worry. Anyway, go well.
No. Firstly, I just want to start, like, just so people understand, like, if they haven't heard, if they've heard, like, Jamie Smith, give me a little bit of a rundown of, like, how you got to where you are and, like, what you're doing now.
Oh, a little bit of a rundown. Well, I own Melbourne Strength Culture, which is I call it a strength performance gym. We dabble a lot in the world of powerlifting, but we're starting to try to remove that from our branding a little bit and enter just more. We love strength training, performance, whatever goals around that are. Sometimes it's powerlifting, other times it's do the lot, as we like to say.
Hybrid athlete.
Yeah, hybrid stuff. Heavily influenced from Jamie Buzz, one of our coaches, and just a hometown hero, really. Everyone loves Buzz, but that's the gym. And then obviously an extension of all of that is we do some other stuff. So we do like a lot of education. For myself, I run a mentorship for younger coaches and people looking to grow into a career is more of my direction. I'm not there to teach you the 3 times 6 does this and like all that shit. It's more like mindset around how can I actually build a career out of what I'm doing and not last the typical 2 years. We also do a lot of social media. We really see the value in that, and we are trying to do some different things outside the ordinary just gym for Australia. I like to think that there's not many that do it the way we do it, and I think it's starting to get traction. We're not where we want to be yet, but it's definitely moving in the right direction from that as well. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that we're doing, but the crux of it is we're a strength and performance gym around the corner, just 300, 400 meters away.
What do you mean by not many people do it like you?
Well, I think content in general, everybody identifies that social media is a huge factor for brand development. I think that's a no-brainer. That's how Woody sort of kick-started. And back in the old Facebook days, though, he beat Instagram. Yeah, he had 20,000 on Facebook before there was anything else. But social media has always been in the game, but we're really trying to put our own flair and of especially like quality. So like a podcast, like we've built out a room for it, and we put in the extra yards on the back end with like trying to develop it and get it out there on social media with snippets and all of that sort of stuff. Like we're actively just trying to make content something that we do, and it's more than just like what we're saying; it's how we do it as well. Like there's there's decisions that we're trying to do because we want that to be part of what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. How did you actually get to this point? Because we understand, we know how you have that relationship with Woody, but let everyone know how you met Woody and how you've ended up here to actually start MSC.
Yeah. How did I meet Woody? I was a personal trainer. I used to work down in Hampton.
Where at?
I won't say the place, but just a small studio, just a very small studio. I think of your typical sort of like more in line with like an F45 structure, classes, and just sort of flog them till they can't breathe and let them have a break and flog them again. Sort of.
Get them absolutely fucking cooked.
Yeah. And it just wasn't for me. I was doing some one-on-ones there as well, but I used to take like boxing classes and
Oh, nice.
yeah, boxercise. And Charles, me and Charles. Charlie worked at the same spot. I got Charlie a job there. Charlie was a barista. Charlie's also been with me since day one. Another goat.
Barista Charles.
The barista. He used to be a barista, and I was like, why don't you try some personal training? We used to train together, and I was like, oh, I'll get you a job with it. So he used to do like maybe like 10, 12 hours a week at the gym as well.
Nice.
Every Monday we'd come in just fucking hungover as shit, like late to Monday classes and stuff. But I mean, you got to start somewhere.
What was your go-to place on the weekend?
CQ with Woody.
Oh.
Yeah. We'll get to that. That will be part of the discussion. Yeah. Fucking love a CQ podium. He'd come up to me, he'd be like, I need more water. I'm like, all right, Woody, I'll go get you more water.
Woody, Tom Core, all the boys.
Jay Alice.
Oh,
Another
Alice.
goat.
Okay, goat.
Another
Absolute
goat. Goats galore. Just a pack of goats at CQ. I was a personal trainer, and that style wasn't for me. The group stuff, it was more like just middle-aged people it was more just like health-related training or those sort of things, or just like ticking the box of exercise. It was never like I've got really specific performance goals and I want to achieve this and do this or whatever. So I was there for probably like 2 or 3 years, and then I started being like, well, I don't know if this is going to be for me long-term, and I started to try to implement things. I was reading a lot of blogs, Mike Boyle, DeFranco, Cressy, like the typical names. T-Nation back then, when they actually produced some decent stuff, not just trying to sell testosterone supplements.
And they were actually good.
Yeah. And borderline dick pills.
Yeah.
And then...
Dick hard.
Yeah, so I was like trying to implement this stuff with the clientele there, and it just wasn't hitting because ultimately they didn't care for that sort of training and that sort of structure. So eventually Woody just popped up on my feed, and I watched him for maybe like a month, and then I'd seen a few of the athletes and I knew them from growing up, who they were. Barnsey was one of them, who I think was one of maybe the first athletes that Woody took on, and that really gave Woody a chance here. And then I sort of had grown up with him, and I'm like, oh fuck, like that's cool. Like this is popping up in Australia. I know there's other gyms that were around doing it, but no, Woody is the kingpin from that perspective. And I watched it, and I was like, fuck, I want to go and meet this guy. Yeah. Like I reckon this guy might have some answers to the questions that I've got. And I just knocked on the door. I messaged him. This would have been, I'd love to go back and find when it was, it would have been maybe 2012.
Far out.
Fuck.
Maybe even 2011.
Yeah.
2012.
Had he gone to America yet?
Yeah, he'd already done that. He'd already
2012.
started. He was he'd just left the boot camp spot, and he was at the first location. Just had just set it up. Maybe there for like 2 months. Like right early days. And I messaged him. He was like, yeah, come down here. And I knocked on the door, and no one was there. One of his athletes were there. And I'm like, where's Woody? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, why are you here? And he's like, well, I had a session. And I'm like, all right, some things never change. and I was going through, and I was like, all right, I'll be back. So I messaged him again. I'm like, where the fuck are you, man? Like, he's like, oh, I'll be back in 30 minutes. I'm like, all right. So I just came back. I live around the corner. So I just came back 30 minutes later, and I messaged, I came in, I knocked on the door. He's like, oh, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, I've got all these questions. Like, I'd love you to, I had a notebook of just like 20 questions, specific questions, some like really like, I call them level 1 questions. Level 1 questions like, what are your thoughts on the RDL? Like just fucking as if someone's just going to sit down and tell you, oh, here's my entire. But then a few other things like, what do you think I should do with where I'm at, and how do I get to a position where you're at, building this thing up and all that sort of stuff. And for whatever reason, he had a liking to me and I had a liking to him, and he was like, oh, why don't you start training here? So I started. I was an athlete, but I was an athlete under John Paul Kauke. So now
know him well.
Yeah, exactly. Brick's boss man, who owns the Strength Fortress now. He was my first coach. He was he taught me the lessons of like what a coach can do for somebody, and a lot more of like the softer skills of coaching, like actually being personable and getting to know your client and building rapport and all of that. Like JP for that was amazing. But then also he taught me so much about just barbell training in general, and like squat, bench press and deadlift. He got me into powerlifting. So I was always just working or training under JP. And then eventually Woody was like, oh, why don't you just fucking train here more? So I was training my session with JP, and then I was just like lifting during the week. Like I just train there instead. And then I got to meet like Jay Ellis and Jared Kay, back then was working as well, who now owns the Sixth Principle. It was just like a bit of a hotbed of activity. And I loved being there. I genuinely just loved being there. And eventually it turned into like, I never did like a formal internship, but I would say that I was Woody's intern. Like
you're just learning, absorbing.
Yeah, he'd be like, oh, we've got a rugby group on Saturday morning. Do you want to come down? I'm like, yeah, fuck it. And I'd do 2 hours with him, and I'd take some speed stuff or like help him with like coaching. Or then he'd be like, oh, I'm running this seminar. Do you want to come and just attend? So like he'd always helped me like every step. And it showed me what was possible. But then also I looked at it and I thought, well, there's areas of this that I wouldn't be doing. Like there's just certain things that I'd be like, I think this area could be improved, or like I never really loved the full S&C route. We can talk about that more as well. But for myself, it was always just general training. Like that was always what I really enjoyed. So I was like, could this work in other ways? And then eventually but that's how it all got started. And that's how I met Woody, and
Yeah, absolutely.
I would not be where I'm at. It'd be actually a really cool parallel universe to see that if I rocked up and he wasn't there, and then that was for me to be like, nah, fuck this guy, and I never came back, because the only reason I'm doing what I'm doing now is because of Woody. So like I think of all the people that have been impacted by Melbourne strength culture and what we're doing, and all our past interns and all of that. Like it's just it's a bit of a butterfly effect of how much influence Woody has had for me and the people that are in my circles and all that sort of stuff. He's the GOAT.
Yeah, he's a catalyst.
He's the GOAT. He's the catalyst of the whole fucking thing. No one can change my mind.
Yeah.
Like it.
Well, for us too, like
absolutely.
Woody, like Dirk pretty much Dirk interned under Woody, and then like me and you guys, it was like Woody set that all up.
Yeah.
So and I've had a similar experience to you as well, where it's like I want to do more powerlifting sort of stuff, and it's less sort of S&C. And it took me through training with you guys and, being in that powerlifting environment to be like, fuck, I want to do powerlifting coaching. So
yeah, it's cool. Like even John Paul Kauke, like his first real coaching job was under Woody, and that's the Strength Fortress when you think of the powerlifting world. Jared Kay with the Sixth Principle and what he's done with like AFL athletes now as well, and like his impact, and there's just so many, Jay Ellis, like there's just so many people that have really given it a crack, and it all just the sparks Woody for sure.
I think what's amazing is
and that's just in Melbourne, like
the whole world we're talking about.
Yeah,
it's not even
I think
stay as well.
What's amazing is that he's amazing because he's not just great as being a coach. He's a catalyst in helping other people.
Yeah, he cares,
and that's what's amazing. It's not like we just sit here and it's like, okay, yeah, he can get the results. Of course he does that, but he's also catalyzed my life, Brick's life, your life. And fuck, who knows how many more people?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's what's amazing, really, really amazing.
That's why he's the GOAT. But where the fuck is he? Where's Woodford? Am I allowed to swear?
Yes.
Surely, yeah.
Actually, nah, you're not allowed to.
Wait till you see the tattoo. It might be worth it. It might be worth it.
Only I'm not allowed to swear. You guys can go now.
But where is he? Where's Woodford? I want to see the manager. Woody. Yeah. But yeah, that's how it all started, and it was the first time where I saw like, wow, there's something else out there in this industry. Yeah. There's a potential to do things in a structured, formal way with plans and progressions. And actually, that wasn't just professional sport.
And then how did you go from WSSC to Eric Cressy to MSC? Where's that gap?
Yeah, so in that transition of me sort of falling out of that initial place I was working and being like, I don't think this is for me, I started, obviously I was doing exercise sports science. And I knew that at some point I had to do like the final internship thing. And I didn't want to waste that opportunity. I was like, at some point I need to hand my resume in to a place and I've got to beat all these other students. Like I need to be the guy that an AFL club would want. That was my end goal. It was like I wanted to work in an AFL at that point. In that transition period, I wanted to do professional sport. So I started, obviously with the helping out at WSSC initially, it allowed me to then get a bit of confidence to go like, I reckon I could intern at like a VFL club. And I started interning at Port Melbourne Football Club. And then that eventually just rolled into I was running the strength work for the junior, so like the first and second year players, and then also helping some of the rehab athletes there as well. So that was my first like gig, and I did a season with them, and it was all great, and I got a lot of good experience. And then interning sort of along with Woody and doing all that sort of stuff. I felt that I had given myself a good opportunity to like get accepted in an AFL club. And then that final year came around and I handed my resume at Carlton for an internship, and then they had said that the VFL head strength coach, so not the high performance manager of the VFL, but the head of the strength department, that person had pulled out for the season, and they were like, we'd love you to apply for that job as well. And I ended up getting that. So I had succeeded in my job of trying to get a job at an AFL club, like my goal to try to get an AFL job. And this was in my final year of uni, so I hadn't graduated yet. And I was interning with the AFL team, and I was the head of strength in the VFL team, and that lasted all of about 10 weeks. And I got fired from an internship that then meant I lost my position in the VFL. It's sort of, the whole thing just sort of got pulled from underneath me, and I was in a pretty shitty space.
How'd that happen?
I got told that I was too focused on progressing my career, because I was asking a lot of questions, because I could just see why the system didn't work. Like the VFL team was almost held at like a separate entity compared to the AFL team, and none of the structures crossed through. So I was just constantly like just asking, like, why are we doing it this way? Like just trying to find out information and all of that sort of stuff. And eventually they just said that, or one specific person who was running the S&C department said, you're just too worried about your career development and all this sort of stuff. So I don't know, maybe I'd rubbed her up the wrong way or whatever. And then in an email after I like prodded a bit more, she had told me that my personality was too dominant. And I was like, all right, no worries. Thanks for that.
Dominant.
Thanks for that feedback.
Yeah.
I'll go and put my personality somewhere else then. I'll just go fuck myself. But that was the crux of it. But and then I came to Woody and I turned around and I said, Woody, what the like? And he's like, this is what happens in these professional sectors. Like people just want to hold their jobs. They see other people doing well and striving for more. They get threatened, and all of a sudden it's really just a scarcity mindset. And then you learn more about like when a high performance manager loses their job, or the head coach gets changed, and then everyone underneath them gets moved on, or the high performance manager changes and everyone beneath them, or the head of strength gets changed, all their people then have to move. Like it's just like this very like volatile. Not to say that it's not. For some people, it definitely would be, but I'm kind of glad it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
And I came back to Woody and I said, Woody, what the fuck do I do? He's like, yeah, fuck professional sports. You need to get into the private sector. He gave me the sound bite about private sector, elite sector. There's going to be jobs. The opportunities are coming. And I was like, all right, well, what the fuck do I do? And he's like, go to America.
Yeah.
He said, you go to America. If you think this is cool and what we're doing here, like you go over there and it's like stepping in the future. So I went home and I thought, all right, fuck it. I'm going to apply for internships. And I applied for Cressy, and I was going to apply for Mike Boyle, and I was also going to apply for Mike Robertson at iFast. I just, for whatever reason, just did the Cressy one first. And I put it in like a Tuesday, and by the Friday they wanted to chat to me about their next intake, and I was accepted within like 2 weeks. It was a very quick thing, and then like 6 months went past, and I went to Cressy. Yeah.
How was that experience?
They were the best thing ever. It really was. Like being here and being involved with Woodford was awesome, but I was never like. I was never like it was never like part of me, because I'll just go home or whatever. Like I just swing past. Like over there, you had no choice because you lived there. I lived there I did the internship for 4.5 months, but I also did 2 weeks travel at the start and a month travel. I was there for just under 6 months, and I was there all the time. I did full-time work. I wasn't working. I was an intern, obviously, but I was there for 35 hours a week. I trained there. My friends were the coaches there. Like I was just in it. And it was like I call it like an oven. I felt like I was in an oven of development. I was just fucking like everything. It was all around me. Like I couldn't get away from developing as a person, developing as a coach, developing as a business owner, just like by just being around such a professional team. And like, I think they were like 8 years in at that point. They're now like 14, 15 years in. And Eric, I know he was never at the gym because they had just set up Jupiter, but just like seeing the impact that Eric had on the staff and how the whole thing was running, it was just like, holy shit, like this is what is possible. And then I just came home and I was like, I need to create this in Melbourne. Like this needs to be, and that's ultimately been like the underlying job. Like my goal is to just what I experienced over there, I want to have in Melbourne. And yeah, we're doing it our own way, but I want our gym and our community, when people come there and it's just like, I want to fucking stay here. Like I want to be around this. What else do these guys do? How else? Like I just want people interested and like amongst it, because that's what I felt when I was over there. And it really sparked everything I've ever done was being in America.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. Why powerlifting?
So that would be John Paul Cowkey. When I came, so I was just training and all of that sort of stuff. And then also a couple of the Cressy coaches that were helping me, specifically Tony Bonvecchio, who now owns a gym out in Worcester.
Yeah. Good coach.
Yeah, the Strength House.
Yeah.
He was a powerlifting coach, and he also then became my first online coach. When I came home, I hired him as an online coach, and he was powerlifting. And I think powerlifting, it's sort of like when you think about who powerlifts, there's purists, there's powerlifting purists. There's also like just shitty athletes that just love training, and they're not going to but you fall in this objective sort of pipeline of like, this is fun. I can see gains. I can see objective gains. And that was just me. I just enjoyed the process of being able to apply what I was learning to an athlete who was myself, or being involved in that, and then seeing the outcomes, the objective outcomes, and actually being like, yeah, this is fucking sick. Like I can do it. And then that just ultimately just for probably 3 or 4 years, we just did more and more and more of that coaching, more of that content, more of that education, and we just sort of fell into becoming like more powerlifting known. And it's only probably since the last 6 to 12 months where we've been like, well, is that what we're going to do long term? And I think it's sort of like, we still do it and we're still fantastic at it, and we still have a big team and all of that sort of stuff, but it's not the primary focus anymore. Not at all. Like we do want to, explore other things, because ultimately as we evolve and our interests change and all of that sort of stuff, what makes us happy and fulfilled from our career is going to change as well. So we need to be honest with ourselves and honest with the people that we're dealing with and shit. And it's like, well, we're going to go down this other route of fucking being idiots for a bit and see what happens.
Nice. Yeah, but it shows you guys are authentic as well. Like, it's fun.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we don't care. We honestly, exactly. and this is from Woodford. Like, it is. Like, we actually don't give a shit what people like think and say about like us changing and like whatever. It's just like, no, well, at the end of the day, like the number one metric for the success of what we're doing is us, the 5 of us now with Donnie, but like us as coaches and like if we're not enjoying it, if we're not fulfilled, if we're not having fun, the whole thing's just going to come to a screaming halt. Like it's just, we need to evolve and adapt. So that's sort of how we got to powerlifting there for probably 4 years, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to ask the same question to you, Borzillo, Bricky Boy. Why powerlifting?
Oh,
Why you like what? Because now you're training at MSC, right? You love it there. That's your place. That's your home. I think you sleep there sometimes.
Well, there's other more important people there, but
The goats are there. It's a pack of goats.
Another pack of goats. There's more work.
me, Vasuli,
There's so many goats.
Athanasios,
Yeah.
Bootsiotis, Jamie Smith.
Yeah, simple cut.
Sorry.
Why powerlifting, bro?
I just enjoy it. It's just so when I first, not to kiss Jamie's ass, but this is actually a really cool moment in terms of being with him on a potty. Like, it's actually really cool, and him and Charles are people I looked up to first coming through and everything like that. Obviously Woody as well, but like I remember when I first, you guys were here for the old gym. It's like a presentation or whatever. And I was handing you booklets like, oh, here you go, Jamie. Here you go, Charlie. I met you one time. I was like, oh, Jamie, that sort of stuff.
Fucking hell.
And I was very nervous. And now it's just like cool where like I'm on here with you. And for me, powerlifting's been so awesome because I've met a lot of my close friends. Like, I keep on saying like so.
Are you mates with Didier, are you?
Oh, close mates, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Well,
Why weren't you his best mate, man?
look, it was hard at the wedding because he's known people longer there, but I tried sneaking in. I got a spot, so it was all right.
That's what matters.
No, that's been a highlight. Close friends I've met there, people that I respect in the industry have been there as well. Powerlifting's fun, it's enjoyable. It's given me a lot of confidence in myself as well, to the point where I've got a job in the industry as a powerlifting coach. So I talk shit with Jamie, Charlie, Donnie as well, all the boys. It's just fun. Like,
It is fun.
Powerlifting, people make it out to be a big deal. It's like it's this big grandiose thing. It's like, man, just get in and lift and shut up and just have fun.
I think the purists make that.
purists,
which is fine. Like people can have something that they really focus like all of their energy and effort into. But I wouldn't not put you in there because you're still sitting on the bike. You do runs, like you did a marathon or something, or a half marathon last year. What was it?
it was a full one. During COVID.
You did a full. You did like a full marathon, and then like you've still got S&C based like things that you enjoy doing. Like you're not a purist, you just enjoy it for what it is, which is an objective way to
exactly
strength train. Like that's ultimately what it is.
Jamie's doing sprints at the moment as well. Like Charlie's doing a triathlon. So athletes. Buzz doing a triathlon. Dids is playing basketball Monday night, so he's lighting it up on the court.
What's he like at basketball?
He's all right. He's what do you describe himself? So like a role player, if you're he's I'll put him in for most improved during the season, so I see he's going to go. But
Team player.
Yeah,
nice.
Does his job really well. He is a good player. So yeah, that's with powerlifting, just enjoyable. It's just an awesome hobby, and I've met a lot of close friends, and met the boys here, and that happened because Woody pushed me into it.
Yeah.
So Woody said, so I remember it was Jamie and Charlie, and Woody's like, just go train with Charlie. And at the start, I was really timid, and it probably showed there's a lifting, and then like. Got to know the guys more, got to know everyone there more, came out of my shell more, and it was a lot better in terms of just like wanting to enjoy this awesome hobby, and made a lot of
Do you enjoy competing?
At times. There's times when
Why yes and why no?
There's times when I shit the bed, so I don't like that. There was JPS. So I had a comp at JPS last year. It was awesome. I loved it. Like it was the last session of the day, and it was all MSC guys. I can't remember if you were like, I think you were MC. Oh, no, something like that. But it was Charlie and...
I think I was in Scotland.
Oh, you went to Scotland?
I was in Scotland. That was not in Melbourne.
Okay, true, yeah. So Jamie wasn't there. It was just Charlie and Charlie Bulls and
If
Dids.
this is the one I'm thinking about.
Yeah, sorry. It was Charlie Bulls and Dids.
Yeah.
And that was just...
I was eating haggis.
playing some golf down there as well.
Yeah.
Just surveying the areas.
Yeah.
Bit of Braveheart action there as well.
What are you doing in Scotland?
I was just on holiday.
Yeah.
In Scotland?
Yeah.
Why
It was
Scotland?
mad. I don't know. I just wanted to go to Scotland. It was mad.
Just don't talk to Jamie about France or anything like that. Or
Why?
Nah, we don't need to talk about France.
Stories in France that we don't want to cover.
I just got food poisoning.
Yeah,
My last
we
meal
will,
of the trip, I got food poisoning and
What'd you
Dogs.
eat?
made for a pretty shitty ride home.
Yeah,
A creamy carbonara with a bit too much cream in it.
If you try and get the French to fucking make Italian food, no good.
Yeah, it doesn't work. They probably put a snail in there or something.
Yeah, it's a fucking.
So you're at JPS comp.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
All right, back to
it.
Yeah, so I did that. That was awesome. Just the vibes and everything like that. more on me being a idiot in terms of didn't need to cut weight, but I cut weight because I'm like, I have to be in this weight class, but I didn't need to. So competing wise, I enjoy just getting G'd up. I had like 5 guys, like Buzz, Charles, Jay Stupas, Marcus LaGreca in there as well, just yelling at me saying I'm a dog, just touching the hand, just hit him on the back. So that was really fun. The worst part of it though is just, I don't know, sort of when you don't meet expectations. But then again, we do it because we love it. We do it because it's fun. It doesn't make me any money. I just love just sending lifts. So
Well, it does make you money. You're a powerlifting coach now.
well, competing, look, if anyone got a sponsorship here, just set me up. But I don't know who's going to sponsor me, but yeah. But otherwise, yeah, it's been awesome.
That's awesome, man. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, man, that's great. How have you found the transition, Jamie, between, going from like coaching to now you just focus on the business?
Yeah. So that would be another, I don't know. I don't actually know what happened, but I think I just burnt myself out probably about 3 years into running the business. I didn't know. It's a classic story of like not knowing how to delegate and not knowing how to like ask for help and I had tried delegating certain things. Like Donnie will laugh at this, but I gave the social media job to Charlie like 4 years ago, and that fell in a screaming heat because he hated social media.
Yeah,
he still does pretty much hate it, but he just does it because he sees the value from like growing his like coaching load and all of that sort of stuff. But I was just delegating really poorly, not asking for help in the right areas, and I had a very like an overflowing client book. And then I was trying to make content, and then I was trying to run the business as well. And I was pretty young, and I just didn't really know what I was doing. I was just fumbling my way through. And I think, not that I started to like resent that side of my job, the coaching side, but I always had felt like, even though that was the shit that was bringing in the money, it wasn't the shit that was growing the business. It was, so I was like, I felt like I was just kind of like wasting my time doing it. So I made the decision. I was like, well, for this thing to actually work, like I need to focus more on my time on some of these external things and less of my time on the coaching specifically. So I was like, well, I need help. So I just started splitting my clients up and wasn't taking on new clients, was like making sure that when new leads came in that they were going through Charlie, and then eventually we brought on Jamie B, and then Didier, and they were just covering shifts to start with, but eventually this was especially Jamie. Jamie was like, I don't want to work anywhere else. I just want to fucking work here. And some other external things had happened, and I was like, fuck it, let's roll the dice with Jamie and give him some clients. So we started giving him clients, and then just organically it transitioned, and then Didier came on as well, in the same way that Jamie had, but it just eventually turned out to be like, well, these guys are actually just fucking way better coaches than me. Like, because number one, they actually really care and they want to do it and they want to grow. But I actually just think their skill sets are just better than what my skill set is within this business and within the confines of the business. And I'm better off doing these other things, focusing on seminars and trying to build those, and then our internship and developing that, and then developing our content and like our YouTube channel and all of those, like the social media presence, like some of those at very initial, like it was all quite like scrapped together, but I was like, this is ultimately what I think we're going to become. It's not just going to be the coaching. So it was just a transition. And then COVID came, and that sort of gave me like my out of being like, well, I probably had like 20 clients left by the time COVID came around. And then I had sort of made a decision that as soon as the gym reopens, like I don't want to be coaching anymore. Like I need to have this thing built in a way that my value from a revenue perspective is nothing to do with coaching. It's I'm producing money above and beyond what I pay myself from other areas. And that's where I've achieved that, which is fantastic. But now it's like, well, how do we now maximize my position in this company? Because I don't want to coach, and I won't coach. I'm done with coaching. If I was still coaching, I wouldn't be doing it. Like it's not. Yeah. Awesome. So it was a hard transition. And And it took me probably 3 years to really like, from when I first started feeling it to when I finally was like, this is it. I still have one client, Jason Stupas. I hardly do anything with him. We just chat maybe like once a fortnight, or in the lead up to comps, definitely every couple of days I'll just call him and be like, "Hey, what's going on?" He pretty much writes his own programs, and he just chats to me when he's got a sore spot or something, or like, "How do we reckon we structure this?" Like he's my only client, but I'll have him until he doesn't want to be coached by me anymore.
Why is that? Is that just because of the relationship?
I just love him. Yeah.
Was he?
I feel like what Woody was to me, and I feel like that with Jason. Like
that's really cool.
He came in as just a young lifter, like so much, like just fucking more than anyone I've ever met, and it's still more than anyone that I've ever met. Like just hunger to get better. And Charlie and I like started to learn to constrain him a little bit and like force that energy into some productive training, and then he just fucking took off and just became a weapon. And then he did one of our first internships, and he just lapped it up. And then all of a sudden I saw his like business evolving, and now he's got 2 staff. Like even that, like Jason and Hustler, if Woody didn't do what Woody did for me, like that whole thing, like it's a funny like butterfly effect, I guess. But it's all Woody. Woody's the goat. But where is he? But Woody's the goat.
That's a couple of podcast guests as well. Slam and MLG would be a good one.
Yeah, all these names. I love this.
That's a good couple of podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely. They're good. They're good lads.
Pay off,
But yeah, Jason is. Yeah, so I just feel like I just fucking love him. I just genuinely love him, and not that I didn't love all my other clients, but Jason is like my.
He's your son.
He's my man. And I just he's killing it. He's about to open a gym. They're just trying to find a location. And I think Hustler is going to be, and they're just doing some cool shit. I think they're doing
awesome stuff.
Yeah. But the transition was difficult, and I think I was fortunate enough to have other options available. Some other people, and I speak to them, like some people just fall out of the industry. And I've been pretty public about how I was feeling in those moments, and how I still sometimes feel about work in general. But I was fortunate to have other opportunities, but I also really, as much as I was fortunate, I also really forced other opportunities to be presented and options available. So, yeah. And that's where I'm at now. I don't coach. I just I think my job is like brand development. Like where's this? Like where can we maneuver and position ourselves and move in directions and open doors for us, and that's what my job is more than anything now. Yeah.
What are the next doors?
And mentoring, like my mentorships and the education stuff. Yeah.
But what are the next doors to be open now? Like with all these different pathways.
Yeah, so it's all on the back of social media, and this is what I was saying at the very start. Like I don't know, it'd be interesting to see. Like when you think of brands in strength and conditioning, strength training, who do you think of? Like what are the brands that you think of?
Mike Boyle,
so MBSC and everything that they've done. So when you think of Mike Boyle, they've got a killer facility, but they've got this massive education arm as well. They've got textbooks, they've got DVD, like the old DVDs and fucking what functional strength coach volume 432,
level 1, level 2,
like
WSSC.
they've got certifications, they've got rehabilitation teams in them and all of that sort of stuff. Like that would be what I would consider a brand within S&C. Like so it's all right, well, what are they doing? Can we add any of those layers in here? Maybe not. Like we've definitely moved away from the S&C direct world, but I would draw inspiration from Mike Boyle. Podcast dominates, blog dominates, strengthcoach.com. Like he's got the OG fucking strength coach blog. So it's like, well, what can we do? We want to dominate a content space. Instagram, we've never really like killed it, but we find this podcast, we'd already done like 80 episodes, just Charlie and I, but like the personalities that we've got and how easy it is to create, like just sit there and talk. Like there's no real planning. It's like, well, how do we maximize this? All right, we'll build a fucking sick room, get some good cameras, get Donnie on board to do snippets. It's like just fucking run through that wall and that's sort of. So that would be. What other brands do you think of?
I was gonna say culture. Who else? Is
Other
there?
than culture.
Other than culture. Oh, right. DeFranco definitely.
Yeah,
he's a major
DeFranco,
one.
same thing. Very similar to MBSC.
Yeah, Mike Boyle, DeFranco, Cressy, like all those.
Yeah,
players.
so from an S&C world. From a strength world, I think of things like Mark Bell.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, like the super training, the slingshot, like a product. Is there a product that we're going down the apparel route now? Barbell Brigade would be another one. Like they dominated apparel for what felt like 10 years.
Yeah, just OGs.
And now they're fucking, it's just like, well, why can't something like that in Australia be around? Like there's definitely like S&C brands, Woodford, Athletes Authority, like those other ones are definitely around, but Core Advantage even.
Yeah.
But I feel like just like strength, performance, like a more generalist brand,
Yeah.
there's just nothing. So it's like, that's what we're fucking going to do. Like,
It's funny you say
and that's all my job is like how do we get there? And it's social media is the vessel that allows it, but it's how do we communicate through this thing that we're trying to, yeah.
I think I actually never thought of it like that, because when you think of it, like there's all these gyms, coaches, clients, like a bit of education, but there's no like, that's a brand. Like I get what you mean. It makes sense.
There's nothing.
No.
There really is nothing. And we're like, why the fuck is there not? And why isn't it us? Like, why can't it be us? So that's all we're doing is, and it's strengthening. Yeah, we're still going to be coaching clients and stuff, but it's like, how do we minimize what? So even if you just view it like from a business perspective, the revenue stream of coach clients, how do we minimize that so that it's not such a massive chunk of what we do? And how do we strengthen these other areas? So we're getting into like the building of an app, and like we want to have our own app, and like we've started with My Strength Book, and that's been awesome, and like growing that, and like why can't we have 1,000 people on our app? Like there's no reason why we can't. Like we've just started a couple months ago, but fucking let's do that. Let's add that to our brand, and let's add this apparel line to our brand. And how do we do that in our own way? And how do we make the facility better and make that stand out as like, this is cool. And then it's the podcast is cool. Their education's really good. Like it's, when I view all those other brands, it's like everything they've ever done is just fucking awesome. And it melts so well together.
It works together.
We need to do that. We need to be there. We're nowhere near it, but
That's the goal.
yeah, that's it. Like that's all it is, really.
That's fucking
It's just
wild.
like
That's crazy.
yeah. And I just look around Australia. And I'm like, there's fucking, and that's not like an insult to anyone. I'm just like that. No one has done it yet.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people with the potential to do it, but no one has really just grabbed it by the nuts and gone
And tugged it.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, yeah.
That's what.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's crazy. Another thing I've always wondered, and I think a lot of people want to understand, is so obviously staff are so important, right? Like the staff you work with, like they help create your business and progress, right? How do you create such a good foundation for them to be happy, enjoy their time, enjoy working for you, and still get results and productivity?
We used to do this thing called the Strength Culture Congress. I don't know, remember that? Where we
I've been there a couple of times.
yeah, we do want to bring it back, but with other guests, a lot more guest speakers, and make it like an event.
Yeah.
But at the one of the Strength Culture, I can't remember which it was. Or maybe we only did one and then COVID hit and we did an online one. That's exactly what happened. We've done two.
It was one and then it was online, but it was like a day online.
The online one
and
sucked. Like not that it was good. They were good talks and all that, but it was like you're trying to organise like 60 people online. So it just didn't have the feeling of what the first one had.
But had like Bryce Crawd check it out, like a couple
and Luke Tulloch,
Rasheen
Rasheen Hawley from Barbell Babes Brigade. Like it was a good event, and then all of us presented. Obviously, I think it was 7 talks.
Yeah.
Maybe Dan did one. No, Dan did one at the first one. But anyway, like the first Strength Culture Congress was fucking mad. We sold like nearly 100 tickets. I remember I wanted to get to 100. And then I made the mistake. I discounted tickets to get to 100. And then mum called me because I just do shit. I just fucking like put it on social media. Oh, boys, we're selling this now. Like this is the new thing. And I had discounted tickets to get to 100. And mum calls me. She's like, you can't fucking discount tickets now. What about the other 90 people that have already bought it at full price? And I was like, fuck, no shit. Pull the post down. Send the 2 people that bought the ticket, like, I'm really sorry, like, don't tell anyone that happened, like, blah, blah, blah. But the Strength Culture Congress, my presentation was, one of the slides was the star photo that we had, and everyone was happy. And it's like, this isn't put on, like, it's my goal from like a managerial position is to make sure my staff are happy, because if my staff are happy, then everyone that they impact will have a better experience. So ultimately, all I care about is making the five of us happy and making all of us happier and more fulfilled and move in the direction that we want to go. So from like a boss perspective, like that's all that I care about. So there's plenty of discussions about job fulfillment. What does that look like? How many hours do you want to work? What money do you want to make? How do we structure things so that you can so that you can feel that there's growth potential? Because there is growth potential. Sometimes it's like, well, you're going to have to give me 12 months to start to build some of that road for you, but we can get there. We can do that. Like being open and honest and open with the challenges that I'm facing and where we're at and all of that sort of stuff. Like all that stuff is the most important thing from a managerial position, I believe. And we're not there yet. It's not perfect. There's definitely certain things that I know the boys would love more or less of and all of that sort of stuff from a work perspective. But I think the important thing is that we're actually actively moving in those directions. The other thing, secondary to that, is I think why I eventually fell out of coaching was that I felt stifled by it, and it was like all I could do, and I wanted to do these other things. Like I don't want that to be part of what we're at, where it's like, well, I'm just going to force 1 million clients down your throat and you're just going to have to work it out. Like we want to sort of work out where thresholds are and be like, well, this is where we're going for, but then there's these other opportunities for the education or the apparel line or the content and all of that sort of stuff. Like there's always somewhere that we can grow into. It's never this like just ceiling of like, oh, I'm here now, and it's just like, oh, fuck it. Like what's next? I guess I got to leave or do something else. Like they're the two things: job fulfillment, but always having a feeling of growth. I think that's the crux of how it works. The other thing is we're just mates. At the end of the day, we're mates. Like we are. Like we literally just turn cameras on. Like on Tuesday, we were 10 minutes before, and I reckon it's one of the best episodes we've ever done.
It looks...
the Charlie's Charcoal Grill. I think it's one of the best episodes we've ever done. But at the start, I was like, boys, we've got no topics. And then Buzz was like, oh, maybe we should, because this year we're going to do a Boilers episode every week. And it's the first week with a guest, which means we've done the guest episode and then we've still got to film a Boilers episode. And Buzzy's like, oh, maybe like it's too much. It's like it's too many episodes, or like we're going to run out of topics, or maybe we won't be like feeling like fun and bubbly. And then there was like a 10-minute conversation. Then we sat down in the chairs, and then something had happened, and we just started laughing. And then it was just like an hour and 10 minutes of just like, ultimately, like it makes it so much easier when you're mates. And I don't think you can create that. Darren McGuinness called me once. He's like, how the fuck do you guys do it? I said, it's organic. Like it's not a... It's
like you don't push it on.
It's not. No, it's not. It's like,
listen here, Durham. You're gonna learn today. About Take a seat, Junior.
It's never been forced. It's organic. But the other thing is, it's definitely changed, especially coming out of COVID. We used to be at the gym a lot together, heaps, and a lot of the time we'd just work from the gym. Although coming from COVID and then like identifying that most of the work can just be done on the laptop and done at home, and our model has moved to more online coaching. It's definitely changed a little bit in that like we do have to like more book things in to make sure that we're all around, and the podcast makes it easy. But things have changed a little bit. But at the end of the day, like when you just enjoy each other's company and you have fun, like it actually does make work a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever found any limitation within it? Like getting them to be productive, or it's just worked?
At the end of the day, I feel like they're like, I feel like bought into the goal of the company or whatever. Like it sounds a bit like, oh, fucking make sure everyone's bought in. But I feel like we're all like, nah, this we can see this goal. Like fuck it, if we just do like what we've felt in the last 12 months, but if we can do this for 3 years. Like, fuck me. Like, there's some cool shit in front of us. And I think we're all just like on that and just rolling with it. And sometimes maybe what I ask of certain people within the team might be more than others. But I feel like it all sort of just comes back to we're fucking doing this as a group. Like, this is actually happening, and we're going to get there. And if anything, sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough. Because I'm like, these guys have got full coaching loads. They're doing a few hours, like a few shifts on the gym floor. a week or whatever. And then I'm also asking them to do content, and I'm also asking them to like build some seminars and do all that sort of stuff. Sometimes I feel like, oh, fuck, well, what am I actually doing? Like, how am I? But then when I zoom out a little bit, I'm like, no, well, hang on, like this day. And then I'm like, yeah. So,
Yeah, wow.
yeah. It's a good team. It really is a good team.
That's awesome, man. Weren't you guys doing something where you guys would catch up for food or something? Like you'd like
Yeah, Hectic Eats. That was a content idea that we had, which I think will come back. We're pretty sure it's going to come back. So this was in the transition of being like, I don't know, did you guys feel this with the industry, that the industry just got fucking like real dry over the last like 5 years?
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Like everything was like, where's your study? Like, oh, what's the data say? Like
the data.
Very
the data.
serious, like, there's
Like
a-
it just got like real dry,
Evidence-based.
evidence-based cuckery. Like it was just
cucks.
it was just cuckery. Like everyone was just fucking like just I don't know, it just, and I actually think it zapped the fun out of our jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you had to be serious. You had to have
everything.
data.
Everything. Like what happens if, why are you doing drop sets? Because my fucking clients love it. Like who cares why I'm doing drop
Well,
sets?
actually.
Yeah, exactly. Like just like so many, it was like, oh, well, how much volume? Like, or like pro, like it's just
The volume markers say this, and
Yeah.
you got to do this, and it's like, shut the fuck up.
It just,
Jeez.
for what felt like a 5-year period, we
Yeah,
just
though.
entered this, just like the evidence-based era. And I think it definitely zapped the fun out of it for me. It was like, if you're not working towards a goal, and if your program's not completely structured, and if you try and do other things, you're like competing interest and blah, 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 you're not going to see any gains. Like it just, and it definitely influenced us. A lot of our content was in that line. Like we got sucked into that as well. My first online course, which was called the Coach Development Program, that also got sort of entangled in it, and everything was like real science driven. Not to say that science isn't a key pillar of what we do and evidence and all of that sort of stuff, but it's like it doesn't need to be at the front of every conversation you have about training. Like there's all these other principles and things that matter just as much: happiness, enjoyment, like adherence, fucking fun, like all those things
If
matter.
anything, the most important.
Yeah, they're the ones that matter the most. And then you layer, all right, well then maybe with that stuff, let's do more of this or less. But it just felt like for 5 years it was just fucking science. And we turned around and we had a meeting, and we were just like, well, I didn't want to do the online CDP anymore because I was just over it. And then the boys were like, yeah, especially Jamie, this was Jamie Buzz, was like, I'm making content, but this isn't like the content that I don't want to be talking about like all this sort of stuff. Like I just want to be talking about like my training and all that. And I was just like, eventually we just came to this thing, well, let's just be more of ourselves. And we started doing like training vlogs in the gym. And Donnie was coming on board more in a more consistent role. Like eventually, early days, it was like one YouTube video, and it was just sort of like we filmed some shit and he just did it, and then we'd like go back and forth. But he sort of like became part of like our decision making. It was like, well, maybe let's do a bit more down this way and a little bit more that way, or that's not really working. Like we got to stop that. And he was sick of fucking doing videos of bracing and fucking midfoot pressure and shit. So, and we're also just sick of making that content. So it was like, well, what can we do? We started the training vlogs. And then also in that period, we just started hounding Itch Pig about like the collab, the collab, and we just fucking got on their back and were like, do something with us. And eventually they did, and thankfully they're fucking awesome, and we've done a few drops with them, and we see it everywhere. Like even at the David Gray workshop on the weekend, there was 2 guys wearing the shorts.
Oh, really?
I was like, this is fucking mad.
Yeah.
Like these guys are here watching David Gray, but they're wearing our apparel that
Yeah, I
we
love
did with
that.
Itch Pig and shit. So like there was a few things starting to happen where we're like, well, we don't want to do this fucking science shit anymore, but also we want to be more of ourselves. And then Jamie was just like, oh, has anyone seen Action Bronson's? Well, fuck, that's delicious. I don't know if you've ever watched it, but Action Bronson, like
Sometimes, yeah.
a rapper, like music, but he's also just like a character, a life character. I think he was in the WWE at one stage. I think he was doing a fight or something. He had a fight in the WWE, and I think he's been in a few movies and shit. He's just a character of it, and he's got this fucking YouTube video, which a lot of people have it. It's just him eating food that he likes and like meeting the owners and talking about the history of the joint. And Buzz was like, why don't we just fucking do this? So we wrapped it up in this thing called Hectic Eats, which was how if you're training if you come to our gym, like these are the spots where you should go and eat afterwards. Like that's what it, and then we were just picking places around us. And we've got a few friends that like want to Charlie's brother's very close mates owns Industrial, or the family owns Industry Cafe. So like, fuck it, we've got to do that. And then Hattie, who was like Jamie's best friend growing up. His dad has run like a pizza shop called Magic Pizza for like 30 years or something. And Hattie and Buzz used to like make pizzas on Friday night. So we're like, oh, we've got to do one there. And that's around the corner. And then there's like Marco's Schnitzel, which is like an establishment. Then there's the steak sandwich joint.
What would be the
for
best?
Heaven Steaks?
The top three. What would be the top three?
I love Industria. Industria, I think, the sort of place where you just go, grab something and I don't think you can beat it. Marco's Schnitzel is fucking awesome. Like it really is, but it puts me on my ass. Like it's just fucking.
What do you mean?
It's just so big. Like it's just big. Like you can't. You need to sit down after eating that. Where like you could eat Industria and then train. Like you just get a little Schnitzel burger or something. For Heaven Steaks is awesome. Jamie B loves it. It's not as high on my list. I enjoy it and I used to get it a lot, but he's got like a personal sort of love for it. Yeah. Magic Pizza is a fucking sick pizza joint. They're all great. Like they're all just, it depends what you're after at the time. Where else did we go, Donnie? Royal Stacks as well. Oh, Royal Stacks reached out. And we're like, we're opening a gym. We're opening one in Moorabbin. Can you come down? I'm like, fucking oath, we'll come down. That was a good day too. Like we just sat in there and fucking slammed burgers with hectic. But that was that's what the eating thing was. It just fit well with just trying to break out of the mold of being what we were for so long with the content and the evidence-based era. Like we wanted to break that mold, and that was just one of the ways in which we tried to do it.
Yeah.
We do want to bring it back, and it's probably going to work well with our apparel that's coming out, and I think that they'll both feed off each other quite well with some of the stuff that we're going to. So I think there will be an episode coming out within the next month, I would say.
Yeah, I think Brick was so inspired by the Royal Stacks one that he took all the staff once. He took all of us to Royal Stacks after you guys had
You got
done it.
influenced.
No, it was Soul Sandwiches.
Oh, Soul
We went to
Sandwiches.
Soul
Souls as well.
We went to
Yeah,
Soul.
Souls.
Something.
Yeah, that was the first one actually.
because
Yeah.
I was like, oh, boys, you know a place where we can go.
Yeah. It's like I saw it on Strength Culture.
It's actually crazy, like especially like after we've done an episode, like for probably a month after, you get like 5 DMs a week of people like taking a photo of eating the stuff. I'm like, yeah, this is actually fucking sick. Like this is hectic.
Yeah, you guys know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
It's actually good.
like it's like our little community just like gets involved in the shit, and I think the crux of it is the podcast. The podcast drives 90% of what we're doing, and it all just feeds off dumb conversation that we had in the podcast.
Like Buzz is so fucking funny.
Buzz the goat.
It's actually nuts. Like he said he said too many sick cunts, not enough hospitals. That's like the fucking best line I've ever fucking heard.
He's legit, especially. I feel like it might not that it's died off, but there was a moment there where I think it was making all those reels about like squeeze it, fucking like doing all that shit. There was a moment there where he had like a cult following.
Yeah,
it was like
so fucking good.
Every day people would like send videos in of like them doing the squeeze it. You got to feel the muscle and shit. We should get him to do it again because it fucking popped off for a while and it went fucking crazy. And yeah, he had a cult following there for a while. Yeah, he's a sick cunt.
He's a man cunt.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. Man, that's awesome. That's great. Well, man, Jamie, that was awesome to have you on, man. Like that, to hear that, like I love it. Just funny, just good to hear how you boys are doing. Like you're killing it. Like seriously.
Thank you. We're trying. We are actively trying to do cool shit. So
Like-
it is cool that people are receiving it well.
100%, man. Like as for someone who's grown being at WSSC, I think it's also nice to see like another place killing it. And obviously like Woody speaks so highly of you. So to look at what you guys do, and even though it's different but similar, do you know what I mean? In a sense. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think it's so cool to see that and see something grow. And I think it makes it enjoyable knowing that like we're all friends, right? Like there's no like
No, there's none at all.
and
There's
it's
no.
no.
There's no friends here. No.
Oh, actually, I hate
there's
Jamie.
no,
Why am I-
yeah.
But I feel like this, like
Hey,
you said,
Donnie,
the industry is
fucking
so serious that it's like
everyone can win.
It's nice that like you know when I hurt my like elbow, I was able to come down and train. Like you know what I mean, like there was no like, oh, you know, fuck you, bro. Like you're an SNC. like
Fuck
who
off.
the fuck are you? Like like you know, like you said, it's not dry, but it's also it's built a community. Even though we're all coaches, but it's a community.
Yeah, absolutely. And it stems from Woody. Like
Catalyst.
And I put it on every time he does something stupid. I put it on social media. I'm like, you're still the goat though. Like you can't change my mind. Like it doesn't matter what's going on or what he's saying. I'm like, is it the goat emoji and the king emoji? Like that's who he is. He's the king. Yeah. I remember, and I kind of wish he was here for this story, but when he launched his website, he ended up having like a huge party at 7 nightclub.
Oh, he told me about that.
And he got like just shit like this. Like he got like banners made up of his face, and it looked like an album cover. And it was
Are you
like,
talking about the one he's got downstairs? Like the dark,
I remember that. And he was like, Jamie, you got to come to this party.
27th of March, I think it is.
And he's like, you got to come to this party. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I'm launching a website. I'm like, all right. So we get to the gym, and then like there's like 100 people there. And I'm like, who the fuck are all there? And it's just all his fucking friends and shit. It was like models there and shit. And then there was a party bus, and I'm like, all right, I'll just get on the party bus. And we got on the party bus, and it was at 7 nightclub. I think it was at 7, or it was somewhere in the city. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Eve, it was at Eve nightclub.
I wasn't there, but just heard of it.
The iconic shot, and I'm just shit like that will never. And like even just going to see Q with him, people would literally like he'd be on the podium, and people would literally be like, "Oh my god, it's Christian!" Like there's Christian, and like guys would come up, he's like, "You're inspiring me to fucking do S&C." Like he was literally like a D grade celebrity from strength and conditioning. It was fucking hilarious. And like unmatched. No one will ever be able to ride that wave of what Woody rode in those early days.
That's fun.
And he fucking blew a door open on the industry. Like you can just fucking, there's chances now. And like he says it like, I built jobs and all this sort of shit. Like he has. He literally has given so many people the courage to do what they want. He is the fucking GOAT. You can't change my mind.
He'll love us just fucking talking about him.
Yeah. Butter him up.
Yeah.
Butter
Take him out for dinner. Butter him up.
Teeth look good.
I was gonna say something more fucked than that, but
That. We'll leave it there.
Love it.
Yeah.
Going another two.
Yeah, I'll come back. We'll have to do one with Woody. I think Woody and I will have a lot of stories to
share with each other. I think he'll be laughing the whole fucking time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Where can they find you, my friend?
Melbourne Strength Culture. That's it. Just go straight to either
social media,
the website, or social media. We're available for coaching if you're interested in strength and just powerlifting, performance, nutrition, body composition goals, all your general training needs. If you want to follow me more specifically, just J Smith Culture, just on the Instagram. That would probably be the best place. You'll find me and we can chat.
Done. Awesome. Well, guys, if you want to listen to this again, Spotify is the place. We're going to do the fortnightly podcast, so keep listening up. Many more guests to come, many more awesome topics to talk about. Again, on YouTube, if you want to watch this, ask Woodford. Follow us on Instagram, Woodford SSC. Jamie,
5 stars.
Bricky boy, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, 5 stars. 5 stars goes a long way. Also, just shares. Like if you enjoyed the episode, share it with a friend. Like it helps everything. Yeah.
Let us know.
Come on.
Yeah, let us know.
Pleasure.
Love it. Pleasure.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
Bye.